Okay, let's connect with Dilip Bhatt, Joint Managing Director with Prabhudas Lilladher Securities. Dilip, good afternoon. Wish you a very happy 2015. What do you want to start with, your top idea for 2015 or your Nifty or Sensex target for 2015?
Well, Nikunj, very happy New Year to you and your team. You people have been doing a very wonderful job, and I'm sure that you will continue to do that. Well, I think as far as Nifty is concerned, I think we had a very good, a dream kind of a run in 2014. So I think from here on, we should take a slightly longer term perspective. So whether it's going to move up in the same way as what it did in the previous year, I'm not too sure, and I wouldn't like to take a bet on that. But I think this is a great opportunity to build a portfolio for next couple of years without any doubt, especially for any investor who has missed out. Because I think over the next couple of years, we will see that India gradually reclaiming that 7 to 8% GDP growth, hopefully. And I think a lot of things will then fall in place as market really trends upwards. So I think in next 3 years, probably I would say that whether Nifty can double from here, possibly yes. I think that looks very much on the cards. Maybe 3 to 4 years, that would be the time frame. But the broad trajectory is up, so one should definitely buy, accumulate, remain invested. Now, as far as the top picks is concerned, sure.
No, go ahead, please.
Well, I think as far as the top picks are concerned, for me, I think the PSU banks remain a sector which remains a top bet for next 1 to 2 years. I think a lot of things happening out over there. The first step which the government has indicated, and that is really great, is that they have just nominated the bank's MD and has made him a CEO. So the chairman post is still vacant. I think this dual position is something which will really bring about a good re-rating. If you were to get a good person from the private sector bank as the chairman, a lot of caveats are there, of course, but I think that will trigger a good re-rating. I think apart from that, you have something like that what RBI has been talking about, realigning the loan tenure to the cash flows of the project. All those things will lead, particularly for the PSU banks, which had been working in a very constrained way. I think they'll be able to perform much better. So PSU banks which are still trading around book or closer to the adjusted book, I think they really look good on a slightly medium to longer term basis. So I think PSU bank as a sector looks pretty interesting. And by same token, I think infra sector also looks pretty good. All the construction and engineering companies, I think they have had a run, but still a lot of them and good steam left ahead in them.
Dilip, what according to you could underperform then? And would you say that under ownership and underperformance would remain with commodities as was the case in 2014 too?
See, as far as commodities is concerned, I'm slightly apprehensive about the entire thing. Because it's not just India-centric, you have, say, a ruble which has collapsed, or the East European currencies have collapsed. So what can happen is you will never know how some of the commodities being produced over there could land up in India or any part of the world, and trying to disturb the price equation, which is what we are seeing possibly in steel. So commodity is something which I am not very comfortable at the moment. I think it will be a good news for the Indian manufacturing sector, but that's not a sector which I would like to really play on a longer term basis. Maybe some small momentum buying here and there or some small trading here and there can possibly be there, but slightly on a longer term basis, I would be really averse to the commodities for the time being.
Dilip, you're bullish on PSU banks, but if I look at the credit growth or the credit growth rate, somehow that has not picked up. So as of now, there is hope. Opinion has changed, but business activity is yet to pick up.
You're absolutely right, Nikunj. I think if you were to take two or three as a complementary factors, one is of course that the GDP remains very subdued. It's just around 5.5%. which is not telling much, which means that the pickup has not really happened. You have something like the oil prices, which has really collapsed, and I think the oil prices, oil companies also were borrowing for their working capital requirements. So now instead of borrowing $100, you're borrowing at $65, $70. So there's that much contraction of credit. But at the core of it, the weak credit, yes, that is what is, I think, broadly reflects the current state of the economy, because if your credit pickup is not going to happen, I think the economy itself is not picking up. That is what it's telling you. So I think that all those things are definitely there in the prices. But beyond that, it's the hope. Even the first indiscriminate rise in the stock prices across the indices were largely the result of the hope. So that hope still remains, and the blue sky scenario which has been painted by a lot of us, I think that is what is really driving the optimism and the hope that sooner or later, and hopefully it will be sooner than later, that things will start looking better.
Dilip, next 8-10 days, Q3 earnings season will officially start. And this time, if numbers are not strong, what will happen to price action? Because as of now, like you said, markets, prices have gone up, there is hope, but there is no delivery yet. If Q3 numbers are below average, could that lead to some kind of a selling stampede?
Nikunj, my own take is that the way the GDP numbers have come, I don't think that anybody is really pinning great hopes on Q3 numbers, in my own sense, and possibly even for the Q4. So, what compounds the matter a little more in a complicated way is that the way some of the currencies have collapsed. So some of the good companies too, probably if they have some exposure somewhere, what kind of hit they are going to take, whether they are going to take an inventory loss, we do not know, because the way the commodity prices have come off. So I don't think that too much optimism is there on the Q3 numbers, but you're absolutely right. As in when these numbers, they do come out, it definitely disturbs the momentum for a while. But I think along with that, one has to see that we'll be soon running into the maiden budget, full-fledged budget of the government. And that will really, in my opinion, overtake other factors, and that will be a little more overwhelming in terms of deciding the mood of the market.
Dilip, what about the good old crowded trades? And when I say crowded trades, private bank, pharma, IT, as of now, they've been the favorite hiding spots for global institutional investors. Can they continue to outperform? Will it be another good year for the crowded trades?
So, Nikunj, despite the fact that the indices have gone up so much, we have seen so much rise in the stock prices, for not just for the front line, even for the mid caps and across the board. But surprisingly, I think the valuation gap between the crowded places, the typical stocks which have been the favorites, whether the private banks, the MNCs, the pharmas, I think the valuation gap between them and the rest of the pack, if at all, in the last 3 to 4 months have only increased. Save one or two, a few companies here and there, but I think they've only increased. So you're right, in that sense, there's a lot of contradiction into what people are expecting, or maybe some of them who are talking, that on one hand, people are painting a blue sky scenario and are bullish about the markets, but yet a lot of people do want to take a safer bet or a safer way out by hiding behind some of these companies. And I think that trend is not likely to change in a hurry. So, the valuation gaps may become a little more acute possibly. So one should not be surprised, because given the state of economy, you also have to think that if in case something doesn't work out, you can still fall back on some of these stocks which provides a good resilience to your portfolio.
Dilip, what within the mid caps? I mean, I'm sure, you've just touched upon autos, banks, as well as IT too. But any of the niche pockets that you foresee doing good? We've seen a great move come in on some of the logistics names, Gati, etc., for instance. Do you see these pockets continue to do well, or do you think now they're getting toppish and are very richly valued?
Well, I think this logistics space is something which probably will continue to attract a lot more attention given the changing scenario, the way the business is being done. So I don't think that that sector will probably trade at a premium valuations. And within that, a few top companies like the TCIs of the world and the Gatis possibly can, the frontliners within the logistics space will continue to attract attention. But overall, I think it will be still more stock specific rather than sector specific, even in the mid caps. Because in mid caps, it's very difficult to classify on a sector-wise basis. It's only a few companies here and there which possibly will look good and which will possibly meet the criteria in terms of your investments.
Dilip, everyone perhaps is of the view that the investment cycle will pick up. Now that is a view. Interest rates have not come down. Capacity utilizations are still lying low. Setting up a new project is a nightmare. So why is everyone convinced that the investment cycle will pick up? For the investment cycle to pick up, demand has to come back, environment has to stabilize, and rates have to come down.
So Nikunj, while you may be right in that assessment in a way, but let's look at 2-3 pockets where the investment cycle can begin and where it can bring about a good multiplier impact. For example, infrastructure, where it doesn't require anybody's demand or anybody's interface. All what it requires is some inherent or chronic issues which have been stalling the growth of infra in India. I think if that really is taken care, and if we start seeing momentum out over there in the infra space, whether it's in the roads, BOTs, so I think it can have a huge multiplier impact in the economy, and that itself can lead to a good, rolling out in terms setting out the momentum. Or even if we take the real estate space, a little, I think, changes in the policy. I think they already tweaked a lot with the FDI so that a lot more FDI can come into India. The REIT is being looked into. I think these are huge employment generating sectors, and they can trigger off a good multiplier impact, and that itself can become gradually contagious across the economy and across the various sectors.
Dilip, so good chatting with you, and thanks for kickstarting year 2015 with us right here in ET Now.
It's always a pleasure to be with you all.
Okay, that's the view then from Dilip Bhatt from Prabhudas Lilladher. But up next,
Lose out. Trade on India's fastest exchange.